Aloha friends, this is Darin again, here to talk to you in lesson 2 of our series on how to create chord melodies or how to harmonize a melody. All right, last time I taught you this very simple melodic line. And then we added chords to it, right? C and G. Okay, and that's it. So we played so you may ask, how am I doing that with my right hand? Well, what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I get the melody note in and I get the bass note in. Everything else in the middle, for now, let's just say that's just gravy, you know, whatever you hit, hey, bonus, you know? And so when I play this, I make sure that this is the top note that I play because that's my melody. And then I play, I just hold the notes down and I'm just playing A, M, I, P. And that's it. I'm just filling in stuff, all right? It doesn't matter what order you play it in. It doesn't matter what rhythm you play, but you know, you want to keep it interesting. I often go for 8th notes, you know. When I get more comfortable, then maybe I'll put in some 16th notes, you know. But yeah, you just kind of hold down the chord and you fill in. And your bass and melody are the most important. Make sure you get those in. And you notice sometimes, like, what did I do? I did this. Then I move my first finger to get the F. So now, this note B, it's not in my C chord, so I'm not going to play it. I'm gonna avoid the B. So I'm going, what am I playing? Here. And then here I can go back to the C, and now it's available for me to play, you know? So little strategies and things for you to think about as you play these, all right? But the thing is, don't get so caught up on which notes I'm gonna play. Just throw them in there. Some of them will sound great, some of them not, you know? Don't be afraid to take those chances and don't be afraid to make mistakes, all right? Because you will. Because what you're doing is you're improvising a little bit when you're playing a chord melody, all right? Every note is not written down for you. Okay, so what I want to do is I want you on a piece of paper to write down the C major scale, all right? After you write down the C major scale, you're going to write the triads on top of it. So that means it's every other note. C, skip the D, you write E. Skip the F, you write G. D, you skip the E, you write F, you write A. And if you look here, you write C, E, G, you write D, F, A, D, F, A right here. E, G, B, right it here. Okay, so it's just every other one. That's how we build triads. Okay, so you can pause the video and I'm gonna work on mine, you work on yours. Okay, we're back. All right, so yours should look similar to mine, right? C, E, G, D, F, A, and so forth, all right? You can check yours with mine. Underneath that, I wrote the Roman numerals for the chords, okay? The 1 chord is C. Move down the line, the 5 chord is G, okay? And in between, the 2 and the 3 chords are smaller lowercase letters. The 2 and the 3 are minor. The 4 is capitalized again, that's major, all right? And then if you look at the bottom, I wrote down the chords. C, D minor, E minor, F, G, and then A minor, B diminished, C, all right? Now for that G chord, you could also write G7, and things are gonna get a little crowded here. So right here, I wrote an F, all right? G, B, D, F, that's my G7 chord. Okay, this is gonna be your cheat sheet. You keep it close by, all right? So now, with this melody, I don't have to just play the C chord there, all right? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to harmonize the notes in the melody, all right? So sometimes chords switch faster than 1 per measure, all right? Maybe there's 2 per measure. So then you want to land it on beat 1. Then beat 3 could be a new chord. I'm trying an A minor chord. Why? Because in the A minor chord, I use A, C, and E. In the E minor chord, obviously I use an E in that, right? So I can play C, E minor, or I can play C, A minor, right? Moving on to the next chord, we were playing a G chord. The F makes it G7 right there, okay? What harmonizes the note D in this tune? Well, D minor, right? So maybe I play D minor. Now, maybe I put F in the bass. That way I get all 3 notes, D, F, and A in that chord. D, F, and A. Because we want this to be our melody note. We can't play this F, not yet. So we can play, now we play the F here. Maybe I put a G7 there, right? So, or I could play D minor, F, you know? So it's your choice, okay? So take this melody and try and harmonize the melody notes with your own choice of chords, okay? I will give you a hint though, because we're in the key of C, you probably want to end on the C chord, all right? So let me try something. Here's A minor, maybe to the F, maybe A minor here, G, then D minor, G, C, all right? That's my solution to the problem, and I just kind of made it up as I went along. I want you to just play with these chords, that melody, and try it. And later on, maybe you can make up your own melody. Keep your chord progression and improvise a melody that works over those chords, okay? All right, I will see you next time.
I want to talk about some exercises for developing your left hand. And one of the most basic, simple exercises that I can think of, it's a chromatic exercise. I like chromatic exercises a lot because they working all 4 fingers, promoting a good left hand position. And this one, start on the 3rd string at the 12th fret. It's going to alternate with index and middle fingers. And start with 4th finger, go to 3rd, go to 2nd, go to 1st, do it again. Then I shift down 1 position and repeat, and so on. Keep going down the fingerboard like this. And when I get down to 1st position, I'll go 1 extra, what I call 0 position. So I'm using 4, 3, 2, open string. Just gives an opportunity to get those 3 fingers, 4, 3, 2, to stretch a little bit further. Once I'm done there, go to the 2nd string and repeat. And so on, get down to 0 position, start again, 1st string. So all of the 3 treble strings, 12th fret, all the way down to open position. And if I have my fingers nicely arched, then when I release those fingers, literally all I'm doing is releasing them. I don't really need to lift them, okay? So as I put down the 3rd finger, 4th finger releases, 2nd finger goes down, 3rd finger releases, 1st finger goes down, 2nd finger releases, and so on. I want to try to make sure that that's as legato as possible, right? One thing you'll find from just practicing diatonic scales or any kind of finger exercise, essentially, when we're putting our fingers down, usually that's pretty easy to coordinate, and our flexors are quite strong. But when we're going in the opposite direction, it's actually a little bit harder. This is a great exercise for developing that coordination. So make sure that you're legato all the time. Also make sure that you're really, really rhythmic and in time. I would suggest starting doing this with a metronome and actually just playing 1 note per click. As you start to get really precise, you can speed that up, obviously, and what you want is fluency. Don't try to go too fast too soon. Got to retain that legato. and try to make sure that those fingers are staying within half an inch of the fingerboard as possible, right? As much of the time as you can. So your hand position is the same, fingers are not flailing around as you're moving down the fingerboard. So as we shift, which we have to do obviously for this, what I'm doing is an expansion compression shift, sometimes called a squeeze shift, because we're only moving one fret. And when I get down to that first finger, basically my hand is compressing or squeezing. So fourth finger goes into the new position. As I release one, it'll spring out into position. The thumb moves with the hand. So that first finger functions in both positions. So I get a legato connection between 1 and 4, and so on. Okay, so that's sort of first exercise, basic exercise. Also think of it as stage 1. Stage 2, we can expand that a little bit. Starting in first position, I'm going to do a sequence of finger combinations, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 1, 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to shift position, do it all over again. Do that all the way up the neck until I get to 12th fret, 9th position, at which point I can do my little chromatic descent. So as I shift up, I'm using a similar kind of technique to shift, right? The last finger I use is that fourth finger. Hand moves, first finger goes down. You got a connection between 1 and 4. 4 springs out into the new position. Left there, and so on. Now when I'm doing this exercise, obviously when I'm descending, I'm only really using one finger at a time. I would resist a temptation, if there is one for you, to leave that first finger down once it's there, right? Once it's done, you can release it, okay? You don't need to lift it off. It doesn't have to come flying away from the fingerboard. It just needs to stop pressing, right? So you have this little, I call it the bouncing ball of tension that just moves from finger to finger. So it's one finger at a time. When you're doing the ascending part, right, it's very tempting to leave those fingers down. I would suggest that you try not to, okay? You want to leave the fingers in place. They might even touch the string, but I'm not pressing with these fingers, right? The tension is just in one finger at a time, but the position is basically the same all the way through, okay? So I would suggest a couple of goals for those exercises. Start with the descending one. Once you can do it on all 3 strings, then I would suggest that you do it for 2 minutes at a time, okay? Just put a timer on for 2 minutes. As you start to get more comfortable, you can speed that up. You might find that it's surprisingly tiring, which will maybe show that you've got a little inefficiency going on in your left hand, okay? There's just often much too much effort of lifting fingers away, and the fingers just travel much further than they need to. So if you can try to minimize that pressure and release, pressure and release, that's all it takes. And obviously if you're playing legato, then the timing of that, coordination of that is has to be very precise. Do that for 2 minutes at a stretch. You can add the ascending part. You can do that for 2 minutes at a stretch, or you can say, okay, I'm going to do all 3 strings, and then stop, go do something else.
Hi, my name is Federico Musgrove, and I wanted to let you know about the upcoming symposium taking place in February of 2021. This time around, we're offering all schools around the country our symposium in a new virtual format, featuring an exclusive performance by flamenco master Grisha Gorechev. We're also offering technique classes and a composition workshop by Andrea Gonzalez Caballero and our own Ryan Ayers. So check it out, the virtual symposium in 2021 with performances, masterclasses, workshops, ensemble showcase, and more. Visit our website, guitarfoundation.org, for more information.
Hello everyone, this is Dr. Ricardo Paz. I'm Director of Guitar Studies at Capitol High School and Ortiz Middle School in Santa Fe Public Schools in New Mexico, and a member at large of NAVME Council for Guitar Education. I want to welcome you to GFAtv Revolution series. Today I'm going to talk about modes. and I will show you in a way that is very easy to understand and clear it up for people who are confused with this very important aspect for your guitar playing, for your improvisation, and your songwriting. Before I start talking about modes, there are 4 very important aspects in music that you need to remember. The first one, it's about the major keys and its relative minor. For instance, if you are in C major, as you know, its relative minor is A minor, and the key signature does not have flats or sharps. Another example, if you are playing in G major, you know its relative minor is E minor, and the key signature includes an F sharp. Another example, let's see that you are playing D major. Its relative minor is B minor, and the key signature is F sharp and a C sharp. If I'm going to play a D major on the guitar on this position, I need to find the F sharps and the C sharps. I know I have an F sharp on the string 6, fret number 2. I have another F sharp on the string 4, fret number 4. I have another F sharp on the string 1, fret number 2. Now, if I'm looking for the C sharps, I have one on the string 5, fret number 4. And I have another C sharp on the string 2, fret number 2. The third aspect that you need to remember is the intervals. So we have the minor, the major, the augmented, and the diminished. And the last aspect that you need to remember before you play modes is the scale terminology. If you are playing a C and after you play a D, well, the distance between these two notes, it's a whole step. If you are playing an E and you are playing an F, the distance between these two notes, it's a half step. Now let's talk about modes. Modes, it's a fascinating subject for guitar players, but at the same time, it's a great source of confusion and misunderstanding. I'm presenting to you the modes into 2 basic categories. So we have the major modes, which is the Ionian, the Lydian, and the Mixolydian. In the minor modes, we have the Aeolian, Dorian, Phrygian, and Locrian. Let's start with the mode Ionian. This is the modal name for the major scale. If you are going to play a C major scale, basically you are playing a C Ionian. And the pitches for this mode are, and actually for this scale, are C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. If you decide to play a C Lydian, the only note that is different with the C Ionian is the F. So the F, it's an F sharp. So be sure that you play an F sharp when you are in the C Lydian. Now let's move with the Mixolydian. If I'm going to play a C Mixolydian, the only note that is different with the C Ionian is the B. So in the C Mixolydian, the B, it's a B flat. That means that you play a minor 7th. Now let's move on with the minor modes. The Aeolian mode represents the minor key or the natural minor. If you are going to play a C minor, you need to remember that the relative major is E flat. And the key signature is going to be B flat, E flat, and an A flat. So the pitches for the C minor are C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat. If you are going to play a C Dorian, the only difference with the C Aeolian, it's the A. So the A needs to be natural. That means that you're going to play a major sixth. The Phrygian mode. If you're going to play a C Phrygian, you need to be sure that the D is D flat, because actually the D flat is the only note that is different with the C Aeolian. Let's talk about the last mode, the Locrian. If you're going to play a C Locrian, the only notes that are different with the C Aeolian are the D and the G. So these two notes, they need to be flat. The D flat is going to be a minor second, and the G flat a diminished fifth. Again, this is Dr. Ricardo Paz. Thank you for watching this video. And if you have any question, please send us an email to GFAtv@guitarfoundation.org.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, cats, and squirrels of GFAtv? I'm Xeno Muller II. I'm a classical guitar performer, educator, and lover of all things musically crazy. If you want to learn how to multi-track record your guitar playing, and want to know some tips on how to make a video that will bring your recording to life, come with me and let's learn more about that. Good multi-track recording requires 3 things. 1. Headphones. 2. A microphone to record your sound. Typically any microphone on any phone, PC, laptop, or other computer device will be just fine. 3. And finally, you need some sort of software to manipulate, edit, and record your recordings. I personally use GarageBand because I think it's user-friendly for all levels. Whether you're just starting or you're an advanced professional, GarageBand works great for recording acoustic sounds. Before we start talking about how to record multitrack, it's important to know what multitracking is. To multitrack something is to put together many different things that were not recorded at the same time and put them together as one. It could be you and your friends playing from home safely during COVID-19, or it could be you playing many different parts by yourself. Multitracking may seem daunting at first and requires a little bit of patience, but if it means you don't get sick and it is a really rewarding result, it's worth it to me. The goal of a great multitrack is to completely create the sound of playing music in one space. The best way to achieve that illusion is by messing with the trackpan. Trackpan dictates how much sound comes out the left ear and how much sound comes out the right ear. There are different places based on the device you use that change trackpan, but in my experience, I think it's really helpful to have half your parts on the left-hand side and half your parts on the right-hand side. The last couple tricks I find really important are determining how many tracks you need and how to play them in time. My general rule of thumb is that I do 2 tracks per guitar part. So if I'm playing a quartet, there will be 8 parts. I double 1, double 2, double 3, and double 4. However, I don't double record them, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. As for playing in time, that's where these bad boys come in. The headphones are so important because I play a metronome through them in order to play in time. If you're playing with friends, be sure to send them your metronome markings so they can know what to play and how fast to play it. Coming back to those double tracks, it's crucial that you have them for 2 reasons. 1. If you change the tempo in your piece, it's really nice to have some falling space to kind of dovetail into. 2, if you make some kind of mistake, it's really nice to have some space where you can kind of jump in where you left off without making that popcorn sound that comes in when you cut one track. If you were to look at any of my completed projects, you'd see that guitar 1 goes, guitar 2, and guitar 3, It's never ever perfect, and you never ever quite get it on the first try. And even if you do, there's always something that you can do to make it just a little bit better. Hello. Surprise 1-second interruption. This is video editing Xeno. Not to be confused with Mr. Video Xeno. I would like to show you some examples from my GarageBand projects before he kindly closes out the video, just so you can see some of the processes in action. Let's check it out. Alright, so here is our project, and this project is actually the introduction to this video. On the left column we have all of our tracks, and on the right column we have all of them spanned out in their waves so you can see which part comes when. Most of your important recording information is at the top. All your buttons, recording, time signature, key signature, and metronome, that little purple guy right there, are all really important. You can kind of see how my project goes up and down, and it does look a little bit messy, but I promise it's very methodical, and if you took the time to try it, you'll understand it too. I know this is so much information in such a short amount of time, so if you need any help, please let me know. At the end of this video, I'm going to put my Instagram and my website, and you're welcome to reach out to me there. You can also find me on Facebook, and I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. With all the technology craziness out of the way, I think it's time to bring it back to video Xeno to talk about the final part of this video, which is video. Video is so important. It breathes life into your work. In such hard times, there's so much to be bummed out about. Not being able to see your friends sucks, but knowing that you could see their awesome multi-tracked music, that they could see yours, is so awesome. It brings the world together and makes people smile, and if I can make one person smile by the end of the day, I've done something right. The video I'm about to show you is my final project for my ensemble class last semester. I recorded the video with one friend, but using all these tricks I talked about, I multi-tracked all the parts. Even though the sun was setting, and I was running out of time to film, I managed to put together a really interesting video, and maybe you could tell I was running out of time a little bit. I also used some drone footage from my family trip to Zion, and I added some nature shots as well. I hope that you enjoy Mori no Kiri by the great Ayers. Thank you.